Stop scrolling for a moment. Before this message goes any further, I need you to hear this clearly. Maybe you think you clicked on this video. Maybe you think this was another random moment in another ordinary day. But what if it wasn't? What if this pause, this exact moment, is the reminder you have been asking for without realizing it? Because lately life has felt different. You have been showing up, smiling, doing what needs to be done. But deep inside, something has felt heavy. You kept asking, God, where are you? Am I forgotten? Why does it feel like everyone else is moving and I'm standing still? And today, I want to tell you something. Stillness is not always absence. Sometimes stillness is preparation. Sometimes heaven works quietly. Think about roots. Nobody celebrates roots. Nobody sees roots. But roots decide whether a tree survives the storm. And maybe this season has felt hidden because something deeper is being built inside you. You expected movement. God started with foundation. You expected answers. God started with growth. You expected doors. God started with strength. And I know that can feel frustrating because waiting is hard, especially when you prayed, especially when you stayed faithful, especially when you kept believing. But hear this carefully. Delay does not always mean denial. Sometimes timing protects what your emotions want to rush. Maybe some relationships ended. Maybe opportunities disappeared. Maybe plans collapsed. And you thought, what did I do wrong? But what if not every closed door was rejection? What if some doors closed because your future could not fit through them? You have survived seasons you never thought you would survive. You smiled while hurting. You stayed kind while healing. You kept showing up even when nobody knew how exhausted you were. That matters. Heaven sees quiet faith, not just public victories. And right now, something is changing. Your patience is changing. Your faith is becoming deeper than feelings. This season did not come to destroy you. It came to prepare you. And before this message ends, I want you to stay with me. Because in the next part, we are going to talk about why your hardest season may actually be the beginning of your biggest breakthrough. Before you continue, I need you to think about something. What if the season you called empty was actually one of the most important seasons of your life? Because sometimes God does His deepest work where nobody can see it. Not on stages, not in crowds, but in quiet places. And if you are honest, this season has felt quiet, too quiet. People stopped checking in. Some relationships changed. Conversations became shorter. Places that once felt comfortable started feeling unfamiliar, and you wondered, why do I feel so disconnected? But maybe you are not losing your place. Maybe you are outgrowing it. Growth feels uncomfortable. Transformation feels lonely, because becoming someone new often means leaving behind versions of yourself that can no longer follow you. The old version of you needed approval. The new version is learning peace. The old version chased recognition. The new version values purpose. The old version depended on people. The new version is learning trust, and trust grows strongest where certainty disappears. That is why some seasons feel confusing, because faith is not built when everything makes sense. Faith is built when you keep moving even without clear answers. Look back for a moment. Think about everything you already survived. Moments you thought would break you. Nights you thought would never end. Disappointments you thought you could never recover from. Yet you are still here. That means something. You are stronger than you realize. Not because life became easier, but because something inside you became deeper. And maybe this entire season was preparing you for something bigger than comfort. Because comfort rarely transforms people, growth does. And growth usually starts where certainty ends. There are things ahead that require a stronger version of you. More wisdom, more patience, more peace, more confidence. Not confidence built on circumstances. Confidence built on knowing who you are. And maybe that is what this season was teaching, that your value was never attached to applause. Your purpose was never attached to attention. Your future was never controlled by who stayed or who left. You were never abandoned. You were becoming. So hear this clearly. Do not judge your future by your current season. Seeds do not look impressive underground, but hidden does not mean inactive. And maybe what feels invisible right now is actually growing, because the next chapter does not need a different version of life. It needs a stronger version of you. And in the next part, we are going deeper into why certain people disappeared and how closed doors may have protected your future. And growth usually starts where certainty ends. There are things ahead that require a stronger version of you. More wisdom, more patience, more peace, more confidence. Not confidence built on circumstances, confidence built on knowing who you are. And maybe that is what this season was teaching, that your value was never attached to applause, your purpose was never attached to attention, your future was never controlled by who stayed or who left. You were never abandoned, you were becoming. So hear this clearly. Do not judge your future by your current season. Seeds do not look impressive underground, but hidden does not mean inactive. And maybe what feels invisible right now is actually growing, because the next chapter does not need a different version of life, it needs a stronger version of you. And in the next part, we are going deeper into why certain people disappeared and how closed doors may have protected your future. Stay with me here, because this part may explain something you have been carrying for a long time. There are moments in life that feel impossible to understand. Doors you prayed would open, but they stayed shut. People you fought to keep, but they still left. Plans you believed were right, but somehow they fell apart. And the hardest question becomes, why? Why did it not work? Why did it end? Why did it happen now? But what if the closed door was not rejection? What if it was protection? Because sometimes we ask for things with limited vision while life is protecting us from things we cannot yet see. Think about your life. Look back. How many things once felt devastating, but later made sense? How many endings became beginnings? How many disappointments eventually became direction? At the time, you called it loss. Later, you called it wisdom. And maybe this season is no different. Maybe the opportunity that disappeared was not your opportunity. Maybe the relationship that ended was not your destination. Maybe the delay saved you from rushing into something that looked good, but was not right. Because not every open door leads to peace, and not every closed door means failure. Some closed doors preserve your future. That does not mean the pain was easy. Pain still hurts. Disappointment still hurts. Waiting still hurts. But pain does not always mean something went wrong. Sometimes it means something important is being shaped. And while you were asking, when will things change? Something else was happening. You were becoming stronger, more aware, more grounded. You started trusting yourself again. You started needing less approval. You started realizing your worth does not disappear because circumstances changed. That growth matters, because the next chapter of your life cannot be built from fear. It must be built from clarity. So if you are standing in a season that feels uncertain, do not assume the story is ending. Sometimes uncertainty is simply the bridge between who you were and who you are becoming. And hear this, you are not behind. You are not forgotten. Things are moving even when they are quiet. And one day, you may look back at this exact season and realize the closed doors were never against you. They were guiding you, because your life is not shrinking. It is making room. And in the final part, we are talking about what happens next, how to recognize the shift, and why your best chapter may still be ahead. Before this message ends, I need you to stay with me for a few more moments, because if you remember only one thing from everything you heard, remember this: your story is not over. I know there were moments you thought it was. Moments when life became heavier than expected. Moments when you looked around and thought, everyone else seems to be moving forward. Why am I still here? But hear this clearly. Being still does not mean being forgotten. Some of the greatest transformations happen quietly, not in public, not where everyone can see, but deep inside. And maybe that is exactly where your next season started. Not outside, inside. Because lately, something feels different. You may not know how to explain it, but something inside you is changing. Old fears do not control you the same way. Old opinions do not carry the same weight. Old wounds do not define you like they used to. You are becoming someone stronger. Not harder, stronger, more peaceful, more intentional, more aware. And maybe that was the purpose of this season. Not to stop you, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Think about how far you have already come. You survived things you once thought would end you. You carried responsibilities while healing. You kept showing up while rebuilding. You kept believing even when nothing looked different. That matters. Growth is not always loud. Sometimes growth looks like staying, trying again, beginning again, trusting again. And maybe right now you are standing closer to your next chapter than you realize. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are different now. You see differently. You choose differently. You trust differently. And that changes everything. So if life feels uncertain, do not rush. If things feel quiet, do not panic. If answers feel delayed, do not assume nothing is happening. Your timeline is not ruined. Your future is not canceled. This season will not last forever. And one day, you may look back and realize, this was the season that changed everything. The season that built confidence. The season that created peace. The season that prepared you for the life you could not imagine yet. So take one more deep breath. Lift your eyes. Keep moving. Keep believing. Keep showing up. Because your next chapter deserves the version of you that refused to quit. And if this message reached you at the right time, leave this word in the comments. I'm still believing. Like this video, subscribe, and remember, your best chapter may still be ahead. See you in the next message.